What's going on YouTube? JT Jaborn here, and welcome to episode 12 of the Marvel Rewatch, and we're going to be talking about Ant-Man. Ant-Man, yeah, I genuinely really like Ant-Man. It's a smaller movie. It's not trying to change the game entirely, but in terms of movies, like, I really enjoyed it. Like, it's one I just can rewatch a lot more than a lot of these other Phase 1 and 2 films. In fact, Ant-Man's one of my favorite MCU films. Like, up to this point in Phase 2, it's my second favorite. Yes, I like it more than Guardians of the Galaxy. I like it more than Age of Ultron. Yeah, I really do like Ant-Man. I think Ant-Man is a solid movie. Does it rehash some things from Iron Man? Yeah, absolutely. You still got the bald villain. You got the suit versus suit thing. You got kind of the redemptive arc. The villain himself, the actor actually is pretty charismatic. I kind of enjoy him in the movie. Although he just gets very generic, you know, villain spewing, like, I'm going to do blah, 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 blah. I have this, blah, 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 blah. And they do kind of explain that it's because of the Ant-Man's suit or the Pym particle or whatever you want to call it affects the brain chemistry, so he's kind of thinking a bit cuckoo crazy. Yeah, so the plot of Ant-Man, we have Scott Lang, played by the very likable Paul Rudd, who never seems to fucking age. In fact, the dude just turned fucking 50, and he still looks like he's in his early to mid-30s at this point. Like, that dude just stayed 35 for like 20 years. It's kind of amazing how the dude ages. I'm like, good for you, man. You found the secret to the fountain of youth. Like, him and Keanu Reeves just don't seem to age. So, yeah, Ant-Man is a fun movie. I like the stuff with Scott and his daughter. There's never any time where I'm just like, it's not going to be like the most game-changing film of all time. In fact, it's not serious at all. Like, there's never a scene where I get emotional or anything like that. I just kind of sit back and just enjoy the movie. It's a fun little movie. It's smaller scale for a reason. We get some hints of the quantum realm. I like too. I think the action sequences, when they're in the small scale, are pretty creative. I think a lot of the jokes land. Not every single one. I feel like Luis, like, sometimes it's pretty funny, and other times it's just like, okay, Luis is just doing his shtick. I like the stuff with Michael Douglas. I thought the de-aging CGI was incredible. Probably the best that they've done. No, actually, I think Kurt Russell in Guardians 2 is the best they've done in terms of de-aging CGI. Yeah, so I like the stuff with Scott and his daughter. I think the little girl who plays his daughter is fantastic, by the way. Like, the relationship he has with her, she's like, some of the funny stuff, like Baskin Robbins always finds out. That's pretty entertaining. That's really all I can say about Ant-Man in terms of it. I'm trying to think what other things I can bring up. Like Age of Ultron can bring up some of my issues more. Ant-Man, it's a low-stakes movie, and it's not trying to be anything more than what it is. It's standalone. There are some parts where it ties into the Avengers. There's a scene where he fights Falcon, which is kind of fun. I mean, Falcon's never been one of my favorites in the MCU, but I thought Falcon and Winter Soldier was fine. But, like, afterwards, everyone just becomes really quippy and jokey, and, you know, that's this movie. Some people might not like it, but I do. At least in terms of this movie. When I get to Ant-Man and the Wasp, it just doesn't do it for me fully. But we'll see what that's like when I, you know, get back to that movie. The small stuff is cool. Evangeline Lilly is the Wasp. She's, well, not yet. She's fine in the movie. Scott's great. Paul Rudd is just a really likable dude. Michael Douglas, of course, is bringing his A game like he always does. In fact, seeing the DH CGI makes me want to go back and want to see Michael Douglas go back and do some other roles if they can DH him like that throughout a whole movie. I mean, I think that's pretty cool. What else? How does it set up for Avengers? There's a post-credit scene in Ant-Man where it's just a clip from Civil War, and then Falcon's like, I know a guy, and then he gets ultimately kidnapped and ends up in Civil War and gets some of those great action sequences we get in there. But yeah, Ant-Man has some great action sequences. Some of the cool stuff. I like seeing the world done very small. I think it's kind of neat. Paul Rudd's very likable in the role of Scott Lang as a criminal who does this. Yeah, some elements are rehashed from Iron Man. Yeah, the villain isn't groundbreaking or anything. Like, you're not, in fact, I forget his name, but, like, the actor, there's some bits where he shows some signs of charisma. So I feel like, yeah, he's definitely better than a lot of other villains. He takes what he can with the script. In fact, this was supposed to be an Edgar Wright movie originally before he had some creative differences with Marvel. and ultimately became Peyton Reed's movie. But I think Peyton Reed did a good job. Like I said, this movie's not going to rewrite the wheel or anything like that. It's just a small, simple movie, and sometimes I like those smaller movies. One of the reasons I like Shazam was it wasn't trying to be this game-changing, groundbreaking, change-the-world, end-of-the-universe type movie. It just felt like it was its own thing. It didn't need to... I mean, it's obviously set in the MCU, but it's not like it's all about setting up everything. It has its own complete story. Yeah, there's some elements that they left over, like setting up the Wasp for later on, or going into the quantum realm for the next movie to bring their mom back. It's just kind of whatever. Yeah, there's not too much to complain about in terms of my MCU rankings. I think it's my second favorite of Phase 2. And yeah, some of his arc isn't really like too powerful. He's just like a criminal who steals for good. Like he's kind of like a Robin Hood per se. But he's not like he's not ultimately a bad guy. Yeah, he's kind of redeeming himself for his criminal past, but it's not like he fully changes as a character. He just kind of becomes a better person. He wants to do this all for his daughter, and that's commendable. But it's not like he goes through a real powerful arc like in the first Iron Man movie. I feel like that's kind of the drawback of it. It's like Paul Rudd is really likable like throughout the whole movie. I don't feel like his character is fully changed. Yeah, he gets better in his task as Ant-Man, and he's doing this for his daughter. His mission changes, but it's ultimately still the same goal to be with his daughter, help out, and ultimately he gets along with them, gets along with his family, or his ex-wife, and her husband. And ultimately, they kind of become a team, and they ultimately work together to save the day, and then they kind of set up things for him to become an Avenger later on. So, we'll see what that's like when we get to it. This is the end of Phase 2. So, what do I think of Phase 2 compared to Phase 1? There's more movies that I don't know, it's like the same amount of movies I like. Phase 2, overall, didn't feel like it really had a huge payoff, per se. It felt like it was more setting up Phase 3, whereas Phase 1... the culmination was the Avengers, and then after that story was complete, they had the tacked-on sequence during the mid-credits where it was like, oh, we're building up to Thanos next, but ultimately there was a big payoff when it came to Avengers 1. When it came to the second Phase 2, Avengers Age of Ultron felt like a filler movie, and Ant-Man felt like, okay, we're building Ant-Man now, we're going to add him to the roster later on. I mean, obviously the expansion is critical to building up the shared universe, but it just didn't have the same hoorah type finish of the first phase of Marvel movies, if you know what I mean. Phase 2 overall, it ends on Ant-Man. And I like Ant-Man. I really, really do. Like, it's a movie I just enjoy watching. It's not one that, like, I'm not crying or anything over. I just kind of have a good time with it. I don't know. I feel like I've repeated myself a bit too much in this video. So, I'm going to wrap it up here. But what do you all think of the first Ant-Man movie? I really like it. It's my second favorite of Phase 2, right behind The Winter Soldier. And I put it ahead of Guardians of the Galaxy, mainly because Guardians of the Galaxy has such a lackluster villain. It really kind of drags on. I was more connected. I drags on a bit. Ant-Man's smaller. It's more focused. It's not trying to change the game. Its action sequences are much more creative, and I get a good laugh out of them. And yeah, that's kind of it. There's some elements, like I said, that repeat at the first Iron Man, but just not as powerful with the villain in that. But what are you gonna do? So, all right, that's all I got to say about Ant-Man. Post your comments down below. Let me know what you think. Subscribe. Come back tomorrow as we got to take a look at Captain America: Civil War. I got some interesting thoughts to say about that movie. So we'll get there when we get there. All right, that's all I got to say. Take care now. Bye-bye then. I'll see you next time. Go check out Ant-Man.